All right. Welcome back. Episode 6 of Dynasty Life Miami. This is your boy B, joined as always by JP. How you doing, dog?
Man, I'm super happy to be here. Another day of Dynasty football talk for an hour with you, my brother. You already know I'm ready to go.
That's what I'm talking about, man. As always, follow us. You can follow me on at Uncommon Sense on Twitter. Follow us up on that podcast, One Word Dynasty Life Miami on Apple Podcast. JP, drop your socials, brother.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Salazar305. Also at Dynasty Life MIA on Twitter. And as well as YouTube and SoundCloud. You can find us at Dynasty Life Miami Podcast. Whatever streaming platform you stream your podcast on, just put Dynasty Life Miami all together.
Yeah, definitely, man. And we appreciate everybody that's following. If you like what you hear, share it with your friends. Hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button. If you don't like what you're hearing, comment. Tell us why. Tell us where you disagree, and we have a little conversation about it. We appreciate each and every one of y'all that's listening. And here we are, and we're in episode 6. And today we're going to be wrapping up our series on the divisional breakdowns. It's been a nice little journey. We'll be starting up something new and fresh next week. But here we are. We're going to be ending it with a bang. We got the AFC and the NFC West division. Some really good teams in here, aren't there?
Absolutely, bro. I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about these teams. I really like these teams. Some of these teams are super, super looking good.
Yeah, no, good teams, and they're stacked with fantasy players that we want to have on our teams, and so that's where we make our bread and butter talking about that kind of stuff. But before we do that, we got another round of Would You Rather. This week, JP is back on the hot seat. We got a round of 3 questions, 6 total players. We're gonna ask you some questions, brother, and we're gonna find out what you think. All right?
Let's get it.
All right. So, first question, right off the bat. Again, we're this is based off on June ADP for startups. Um, would you rather Najee Harris, who's going as the RB13, or Antonio Gibson, who's going as the RB10?
Well, this is interesting because the last time that we talked about this, guys, it was reversed. I think Najee Harris was in front of Gibson, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but this is nice, man. This is a really good one. You know, I'm super high on Harris, and you know I love me some Gibson, bro. And you know, you would think run away with Gibson, right? This is like, you know, there's no competition, but I want to look at the whole scenario here and just look at this from a different point of view and just bring something to light. There's nobody in Pittsburgh threat wise to take the workload from Harris. Besides, they just got Ballage, they have Snell, they have McFarland. I don't see those guys as threats at all. But they're gonna get some carries, but I don't see them as a threat like as opposed to what McKissick is to Gibson. For me, Washington is not so much. You got McKissick there. He's definitely going to get bossed through him. He'll get carries. He's going to be eating his target share, and as in Gibson, his workload. McKissick had 80 catches for 589 yards in addition to 85 carries for 365 yards last year. That's 4+ yards a carry. So they're just not going to disappear him from the offense. And he's known and been proven to put up numbers with Gibson on the field. He can literally have games where he'll have 10 catches, man, coming out of the backfield. That's PPR mayhem right there for a running back that's not considered a starter. As a matter of fact, he caught 10 of his targets for 70 yards against Pittsburgh last year. You're going to have some people saying, well, Gibson came out early that game with an injury, not so fast. You can't really judge that production based off of that game. So let's go to another game where they were both there on the field. All the naysayers and doubters out there, he caught 9 balls for 65 yards, where Gibson had 6 rushes for 20 yards and a touchdown and 3 catches for 35 yards with no touchdowns. Another thing is Washington has already given the designation to McKissick as a third down back, meaning that Gibson's not going to get the full load. Now back to Najee. Given that Ben Roethlisberger has a prehistoric stationary statue in the pocket, my bet is he's going to be dumping it off a whole lot to Harris. In the past, like the rest of his running backs, Le'Veon Bell, James Conner, etc. Out of the 5 years Bell was there, he went for 80 catches twice, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, you heard me right. He went for 80 catches twice. I'm pretty sure all you Dynasty Mongols out there know what's up with this. This is nothing out of you guys, but for people that don't know, yes. In 2014 and in 2017 were the years, so go look that up if you want to. At the running back 13, it's a win-win for me. I'm going with Najee Harris. The amount of carries Najee's going to get paired up with dump offs from Big Ben, it's criminal not to go with Najee here. I love Gibson too, but Washington has more of a complicated backfield for Dynasty. Gibson and JD McKissick, to me, great backfield to pick up in certain weeks. If you play both of them and you play your cards right, you'll win starting both of them. One at the running back position and one at the flex in any type of PPR format. PPR format, whether redraft, super flex, or single QB. If you have Gibson, that's a hard part now. You got Gibson, that's the hardest part. Go get McKissick, man. Go see if you can get him for a third or a fourth rounder. Complete the backfield. If anything happens to Gibson or it doesn't happen to Gibson, he's getting points. And with all the injuries and COVID designations we got, ladies and gentlemen, depth has even become a bigger part of this dynasty thing that we call football. So, in all, these are the reasons why I think Najee Harris is to the moon, short term and long term, or ETN rookie drafts, hands down. I know you're probably this might cause a fight between me and you or a disagreement or whatever, but that's how I feel about this situation.
No, hey, and you know what? You brought up some really good points. McKissick is a good. I draft him a couple times in best ball. I'm drafting him in the late rounds. You can get him really late in drafts. He definitely has some upside when it comes to that. The only thing I would point out, right, is McKissick got all his catches with Alex Smith throwing him the ball, right? Alex Smith was a great comeback story. It was good having him back, but that guy's leg was done. He looked spooked out there playing. The coaches even said after the season they were afraid to put him out there because he could do more damage to his knee. So he was dumping that ball off to McKissick a lot more. And a lot of those catches, like you said, be 10 catches for 60-something yards, things of that nature. So we don't know exactly how it's going to look with Ryan Fitzmagic back there throwing the ball. So that's just changing dynamic a little bit.
You got to understand, though, McKissick had 3 different quarterbacks last year. He did this with 3 different quarterbacks, not one. Okay, he had Alex Smith. He had what's the other guy that went down?
Kyle Allen.
Yeah, there you go. Kyle Allen was there. It was 3 of them,
none of them are as good as Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm not comparing them, and I agree with you 100% on the thing. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's gonna air it out. That's not a big thing. He's not a dump off Charlie like Philip Rivers or something like that. That's not gonna be his forte out there. But I can still see definitely McKissick. Just Washington saying that he's already the 3rd down back is enough for me to go with Najee. Just that right there, because that means that Gibson's going to play the first 2 downs. And I'm not saying Gibson is not going to get any catches. I love Gibson. I'm just saying fantasy and dynasty relevance. As far as volume, I got to go with Najee.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Najee will be getting the volume. I'm going to agree with you there. What we also have to remember, though, right? The reason Gibson comes out and where we're all wondering what position he's going to play. The guy had 74 college carries. He's a converted wide receiver. So we know Gibson has hands. Now, if Washington is going to be smart enough to allow Gibson to get those receptions, if allow him to work with the ball in his hands, that's going to be up to them. But I think either way, you really can't go wrong with either one. They're both young running backs in this league. We got some older backs phasing out of the game. And, Najee's going to be a beast. So good. I think we're good there. We got Najee over Gibson. And moving on to the next one. Again, this is going to be based on June ADP startups. We're going to go with, would you rather have Javonte Williams, who's going as the RB20 in the late 3rd round, or Joe Mixon, who's going as the RB15 in the end of the 2nd?
Okay, this one's easy for me, B. I'm going to go Mixon here. Everybody thinks that Melvin Gordon is just going to get beat out by Williams when he's had a pretty good year last year. And considering that team last year was in shambles, over there picking up Williams for me at least means I have probably honestly, to feel comfortable in a draft, that means I'm going to have to reach for Gordon later. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to force myself because, bro, Gordon's a baller. I don't know. I don't understand all this. Oh, he hasn't even beat this guy out yet. I'm not saying that Javonte Williams will not be the starter there eventually, but Gordon's going to play. So for me, it's a little complicated because the way that I draft and the way that I do things, for me to feel comfortable as an owner, I would have to grab Javonte Williams, and then later on I would have to get Gordon, which is definitely a possibility, man, because Gordon is dropping massively in drafts and startups. I mean, massively in startups, man. I picked him up, I think, in the 13th round the other day in a startup, dude. It was crazy with the way he's dropping. And it's no knock to Javonte Williams. To be honest with you, it's just the situation over there. They really didn't go quarterback. I'm a little concerned about what's going on over there. That's just me. No knock on Williams, but for me, seeing is believing in the NFL level. I've seen a lot of running backs have crazy college careers and come to the NFL and do nothing. Everybody's back on the mixing train, and without Gio Bernard, there it's looking like with any major setbacks or injury, the train might actually pop off this season. Brandon, upside is way better than than the past 2 years, in my opinion. I would definitely look into acquiring the rookie out of Michigan, Chris Evans, in the rookie draft, which is super cheap, probably the 4th round. Sometimes he's not even getting drafted. Taxi squad stash. He won't even count against your roster spot. If anything happens to Mixon and this kid pops off, you can thank me later.
No, yeah, we talked about it. Chris Evans is a great value at the end of rookie drafts. Gio's gone. The only guy in between him and Mixon is Samaje Perine, who's slow as dirt, bro. So we ain't worried about him. I like Mixon. I mean, we talked about it last week. I'm on the Joe Mixon train. RB15. I think he's gonna be better than that. But for me, I'm. It's funny. We're at odds again because for me it's Javonte, and the only reason I say Javonte, he's younger. He doesn't have the injury history that Mixon has. That's the one thing that does bother me with Mixon. Every time he gets going, every time they give him the rock and he starts to get that workload, that volume that we want our RB1s to have, he comes up with an injury, right? And he's starting to get that injury-prone label. The one thing about Javonte, like I said, he's younger. They want to run the ball over there in the Broncos. Like you said, they didn't get a quarterback. I think we're going to be talking about the Broncos a little bit later today, so I'm not going to get too much in detail. I got some nuggets for you over there about the Broncos and their tendencies, so we can get into that. So I'm not going to speak too much on it right now, but for me, it's Javonte, and we can revisit that later on in the show. So coming up, last one. In this one, right, we've been talking a lot of high-end players, things of that nature. But, we all know that the draft is, 18 rounds, 22 rounds, sometimes 25 rounds long when we're doing startups. So you got to be looking all throughout the draft to find the players that you want. So in this instance, we're going to go a little further down the ADP. We're going to go into the wide receiver range. We got 2 young wide receivers, both in their sophomore season coming up. We got Michael Pittman. He's going as the wide receiver 44. He's the wide receiver for the Colts. And we got former first-round Jalen Reagor, the wide receiver 47 for the Eagles. Which one would you rather have?
I'm going to go out on a limb because I like Pittman a lot. I really do. I love that type of receiver. I just don't like Carson Wentz too much. This guy Pittman is a solid. I love his build. I actually like Pittman more than Reagor as a wide receiver. I'm just a little iffy on who Wentz is going to gel with. The funny thing is everyone thinks that a change of scenery is going to be it. And who knows, it might be it for Wentz. Most of that is wishful thinking that come from folk that haven't really gone over Wentz's scouting report. Here's a gem for you guys. His footwork is terrible. Since college, he hasn't fixed that issue. It's always been like that, and he still hasn't fixed it. That's where the problem is with Wentz. It's not a team thing. It's his mechanics. Jalen, on the other hand, with the acquisition of Smith, he's going to go to his regular slot position, and I'm expecting a major boost in production with Jalen Hurts under center. I think him being out of the slot last year was what killed him. So I'm gonna go Jalen Reagor because his situation. I like his situation a lot better. I'm a Hurts truther, and the Colts look like more of a running team than a passing one. The passing game should take a step up, though, from the dump off the Rivers was doing last year. You take a chance on Pittman if you're feeling lucky, and that's what you want. He's a great wide receiver, but I'm just out of excuses for Carson Wentz, man. And I'm not knocking Carson Wentz. I think that they're going to be a better passing team because, Philip Rivers was a quarterback and he just dumps the ball off to the running back. So their passing attack is going to go up. It's just a question of who Wentz is going to gel with. Usually he'll gel with one receiver and his tight end, and then the other receivers is just a crapshoot. You know what I mean? Like, that's just dynasty relevancy, like relevant wise. I would definitely go with Reagor just because he's going back to his old position. I know that Hurts is going to play with a chip on his shoulder, And I'm a Hurts truther, man. I think that Hurts is going to bring out the best in these guys. I might be wrong, but at the end of the day, I'm not getting paid. I'm not a team owner. I just, I have my gut feelings. I watch football, and I see what goes on the field, and I watch a lot of tape, and I know that once his full work is pretty bad. Hopefully, they fix it in Indianapolis, and if they end up doing that, this sky could be the limit with this team. It could balance out the offense completely, and it could be a playoff team because their defense is nasty. And their line, the line is not bad either. So they're going to protect Wentz. I'm just not sure if Wentz is going to gel with Pittman or who he's going to gel with.
No, and we're in lockstep in this one, bro. It was me. It was a little tough as well, but I'm going Rager. He got the first round draft capital. Like you said, there's talk of him kicking back into the slot, which is where he would match up much better. I do like Pittman, like you. He has the size to be an alpha, and like you said, I wouldn't be shocked if he was good. But like you said, we don't know who Wentz is going to gel with. Is it going to be Paris Campbell? Is Hilton going to be sucking up targets here and there? And Pittman, while he looked good in his rookie year, he did have some awards too. So I'm going to stick with what I saw with Rager in college, and I think he has a chance to be a wide receiver too in this league, especially with Smith coming aboard and probably taking off the wide receiver one duties off his hands. So I think we're in lockstep, Rager over Pittman. You get him a couple spots later, even a round later. As a wide receiver 47 over wide receiver 44. So that's good shit, brother. Good shit. That's another round of Would You Rather. We'll be back again with that next week. But that's it, man. Here we go. We're rolling into it. We're going into the AFC West. Excited to get rid of these, finish up these division breakdowns. And here we are. I promised it earlier, and I'm jumping in. Here's the Broncos, okay? And the story for this team is the QB position, right? I don't know. Drew Lock last year. I don't know if you saw it or the year before. They had that video of him on the sideline rapping to Jeezy. Do you remember that at all? Did you ever see
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. On the sideline there, rapping a Jeezy, like it was all good.
So Drew Lock is a gangster rapper, right? We seen him on the sidelines going to town on some Jeezy. He's got the swagger, but I don't know if he can play football, bro. I don't know. And I got a lot of Drew Lock last year in startups because I believed in the weapons around him, right? I think Fant at tight end is a beast. Sutton on the outside is an alpha. Judy in the slot is a route running technician, right? They had Melvin Gordon coming in on that contract in the backfield. They had a nice O-line. So it seemed like a can't miss offense. But what happened, bro? Drew Lock went out and he missed. Right? And could it be because Sutton went down and you lose that type of player that can go up and get the ball? Drew Lock throws a lot of those 50-50 balls, or those uncatchable balls, or those balls that just get out of the reach of the fingertips of the wide receiver. Sutton's the type of guy, that alpha, that big dog that's going to go up and take the ball down. You lose a player like that, maybe that threw a little wrench in the plan, but it is what it is. And it is at this time they brought in Teddy B. And let's be honest, he's not very exciting. He's a safe player, right? But he was able to play good enough last year to give us DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel as fantasy contributors, right? He gave us 3 players that at any point we could have put in our lineup and would give us some points. Maybe DJ Moore was a little unstable sometimes, a little boomer bust. But Robbie Anderson came out gangbusters. Curtis Samuel at the end of the year was coming out. DJ Moore had his weeks. And that was Teddy B. So I think this is going to be a good QB battle, right? And if Teddy wins, we're going to have a safe offense. And the offensive players are going to have a floor. You're going to be able to put them in there. And you're going to know that more than likely or not, they're going to give you a decent amount of points. Now, if Locke wins, they have a chance to miss the floor entirely. Like, you could be putting up zeros, but the ceiling for this offense will be immense. If Locke is out there and something clicks and he's throwing those bombs, he's using that swagger, and he's hitting Sutton in the end zone, fans running down the seam. Could be a dangerous offense if they can put things together. Teddy B and Locke are basically free in Superflex drafts. Superflex drafts. You can grab the cheapest one of the two because you might have yourself a starter. Finally, as promised, the rookie Javonte. All right, he's a beast, bro. And I know we from Miami, so you know the U. I don't know if you saw the game or that video where he was just trucking that UM player. Did you
Yeah.
do? I mean, that I saw that shit, and that shit made me go back watch this guy's tape. All right, there are some people out there that had this guy as their running back one in this class. All right, this kid is a baller. He just turned 21, and I know you were talking of Gordon and Melvin Gordon. I had him on a couple teams last year, and he was not as good as I thought he was going to be. He's another year older, and this is his last year. There's no way they're going to re-sign him. They jumped up and they jumped up in the second round and drafted him in the high second round, Javante, that is. So they traded up to get him. In fact, I think we talked about it. There was some talk that Miami Dolphins were going to be drafting Javante, and then we got sniped by the Broncos, right? So here's another spicy take for you. I have ETN as the running back one in this class, but I wouldn't be surprised if Javante turns out to be even better than Najee. And you can grab Javante at the 105 in rookie drafts, which to me is a steal. So I'm looking forward to some good offense from this team if they can push it together on the quarterback position.
Pretty good breakdown. I like the breakdown. Can't even knock you on that, brother. My thing with this is who starts. Obviously, Teddy B is more efficient than Drew Lock. He's not gonna make bad throws. I'm just upset that these people didn't go QB with their pick, man. On the offensive side of the ball to get some insurance. But I felt the same way about Carolina. As far as Javante Williams is concerned, I'm not gonna. You know what? That to me, he could very well be the number one. I've seen him play. He's nasty. I just haven't seen enough of him. But I mean, he's probably gonna ball. And if it's and you're right, they're not gonna sign Gordon. But I think that Gordon's gonna try to ball too to get at least another contract, at least one last good contract out of his career. So for me, I've even seen him drop to the 1-7 in rookie drops for 1-8. And if you can get him there, please do. Because Gordon's out of there out of 1 year, and you just heard Brandon. He's probably gonna ball next year too because there's a floor. There was a floor for him and there was a floor for Lindsey last year. So why there's gonna be a floor for both of them. Judy had a lot of drops last year as a rookie, and I love Judy, but that fucked up Drew Lock too in some instances, But you can't really put that on a like a quarter. You can't put. I don't like putting excuses on players. You already know how I roll, Brandon. I really don't. I'm definitely seeing with Bridgewater them being a lot more efficient and everybody having a floor. I really do. Just come on, Judy, Sutton, Fant, Javante Williams, Gordon. Then you have Hamler, if healthy, that guy blows the top off the defense. The problem is that Teddy B's not that type of quarterback. But maybe with these youngsters around him, he opens up and he starts throwing the ball downfield more. Could happen.
Oh, it could happen. Like I said, the position players are there. You know, I used to talk about it. Like this was a team that Fitzmagic would have looked amazing. Like if they would have got Ryan Fitzpatrick in free agency, he would have balled out on this team. So I mean, I don't know what their thought process there. Why they think about grabbing him, or if they did, but he would have looked really good on the Broncos for sure.
Hell yeah.
Well, all right, so we're gonna run into the Chiefs, man, and you know when you're talking about the Chiefs, what am I supposed to say? Pat Mahomes is good. Tyreek Hill's a monster. Kelsey's amazing. What else are you gonna talk about though? Like those are the big three, right? Like that is a strong core of players going on right here. But we want to go in a little bit deeper, right? Because anybody can tell you Pat Mahomes is good and Tyreek is fast and Kelsey's a good tight end. Yeah, like fuck, no duh, bro, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little deeper, right? And let's talk about a player that I think is very misunderstood and is actually being slept on right now, and that's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And then you could be saying, well, Brandon RB, why are you telling me Clyde Edwards-Helaire is being slept on? He was a 101 or the 102 in rookie drafts last year. People were drafting him high in startups, even creeping into the first round. And that's why he's being slept on right now, right? Because everybody looks back on his rookie season and they see a disappointment. All right. They see a guy who didn't live up to first round dynasty startup draft capital. They see, Jonathan Taylor blowing up in the second half of the season last year, and CEH was falling down, and they see it as a disappointment. But fact is, at one point last year, CH was a running back one for several weeks. Then they brought in a washed up Bell, wasted giving that guy carries. CH got injured, and that was that. But let me tell you some little facts about this guy's rookie season. The guy had 1,100 total yards and 4 touchdowns, and that was in only 13 games, bro. 1,100 yards and 4 touchdowns in 13 games. That's not bad at all. And the main story here is the 4 touchdowns, right? I mean, we all game of the season where he was on the goal line and they were just running him up the middle. Like that was the worst play calling I've ever seen from Andy Reid, where they're just every play is CH up the middle, CH up the middle. He's just getting slammed, and they don't throw it to him in the flat. All season we're watching Chiefs games. I'm seeing CH catching the ball, going in for the touchdown, and it turns out there was a holding play. And then they give it to, the next play, it goes to Kelsey for a touchdown. The one thing we all know about touchdowns in football is you cannot project the same touchdowns from year to year. Like you can say Devontae Adams is going to get double-digit touchdowns. You can almost write that in pen. You can book it. But mostly touchdowns is not a sticky stat. Okay, so if Chiefs have one of the best high-powered offense, we know that they did draft this guy in the first round. We hear the coaches talking how he's going to get even more involved in the passing game. We do know that they upgraded their O line, right? They traded a first round pick for that O lineman from Baltimore. They threw him in there. They grabbed a couple of other pieces, and now they went from a weakness into the O line to a strong O line. I can't say with certainty, but I can say as close to certainty as I can in anything that CH is not going to end up with only 4 touchdowns this year. You give him 8, 9, 10 touchdowns, and with the same amount of production for a full 17-game season, and he has the potential to be low end to middle end or RB1. Super unlucky in the touchdown department. I see that reversing course. For me, now's the time to buy him before the hype train starts to build back up. And in fact, you might be even a little bit late. I was actually buying him all off season. And I've noticed the areas where I haven't had him or I didn't have a chance to buy him, the prices are starting to creep back up. But you can still get him in startups in late second or early third. If you can get a starting running back who's 22 years old on the Chiefs, buy him. It's only gonna get better. I think last year was the floor, and it's only gonna get better. On the Chiefs, there's not much else to talk about. I'm not a Mecole Hardman believer. I don't care about Mecole Hardman. They said he's going to be the wide receiver 2 on this team. You already got Tyreek. You got Kelsey. This is the type of team that really focuses their targets on a small number of players. If someone in your league, if you have Mecole Hardman and someone in your league is excited about him being the wide receiver 2, sell him. You're going to be disappointed. The only other player of note on the Chiefs that I even want to talk about is that rookie tight end, Noah Gray. They got in the 5th round. 6'3", 240 pounds, nice athleticism. He was making noise in early rookie camps. Kelsey's been talking him up. I have him on a bunch of taxi squads. Kelsey's a beast, but he's almost 32. Gray's the type of guy you can throw on your taxi squad 2 to 3 years from now. Kelsey's maybe gone. He could be a starter with Mahomes just hitting his prime. It's possible, and he's basically free, so why not?
Yeah, no, agree. If Travis Kelsey's talking that guy up, you got to go out and get him. He's dropping out of draft sometimes into free agency, and he's going late. Not a bad stab to put in your taxi squad. I just want to see what Hardman does this year. There's no excuses, and his upside's looking nice. And I'm in agreement. I'm not I'm not like abandoning CEH. He had no line last year, and let's be frank here. He's a small back. For me, they reached on him. To be honest with you, that pick, from what I hear, was a lobby pick from Pat Mahomes. For me, I think, to be honest with you, like a JT or a Swift would have been a better fit for what they were trying to do. Like I think Andy Reid would have looked a lot better running up Swift or Jonathan Taylor up the middle like he was with CEH with a back like that than with CEH. But they get to accommodate the offense around him and his strengths. They give him a better O line, so I'm expecting a better year from CEH for sure. And I think you shouldn't be so hard on Hardman, man. With Sammy Watkins is gone. There's enough ball to go around. That's a high passing offense. Maybe that's what Hardman needed to get out of the seating up. I know that you don't want to hear about him, but I'm just saying this is to me this year his upside is looking better than ever.
Look, all I was saying that to me is Sammy Watkins has always been gone. That guy's always injured. That was my only point, bro. If Sammy Watkins is stopping you from playing, then you're not. Then there's something else wrong. We got to be honest with that. So
No, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
but like I said, he's cheap anyways. I mean, Hardman's cheap. If you want him, you can get him. So like if you're like JP and you're a believer, or you think that he has the opportunity, it's not like he's gonna cost you a lot. So that's the beauty. If you don't think that he is gonna be anything, you can sell him and get at least something back. And if you believe in him, he's that type of player that you're not gonna get a lot for him, and you're also not gonna cost you a lot to get him. So pick a side, see where you agree at, and then make a move, because that's what it's all about, right? Making moves, right? If you think someone's too low on somebody, you think that everyone's too low on a player, you go out and buy them. If you're high enough on them, if you think everybody's higher on a player and you own them, then sell them, and that's the name of the game. So I think the fact that you look at it one way and I'm looking at it another highlights exactly how you should be making moves in your leagues, and that's the best way to go.
Yeah, that's dynasty football, gentlemen.
There it is. Easy it is. All right, man. So we're going out. We got two more teams in this division. You picked up the Raiders and the Chargers. Who you going with?
I'm gonna start with the Raiders. Mayock, man, with the reaching, dude. They didn't do it on a wide receiver this year, but they went ahead and reached on with the number 17th pick on Alex Leatherwood, an OT out of Alabama. Mayock's in love with these Alabama guys, and I really do hope it translates. But from the looks of it and what I'm hearing, and I've been hearing since that pick was made from the dynasty football community to the football community, period, was that was a massive reach. But Gruden's been doing that. That's what he does. And I love Gruden as a coach. Like I like fiery coaches on the sidelines. I like coaches that get in your face. It's just that some of this, I don't get sometimes. Second round with the 43rd pick, they went Trayvon Morig. In the third round, they went Malcolm Coons. And all these guys, Trayvon Morig is a safety out of TCU. Malcolm Coons, linebacker out of Buffalo. So they pretty much went defense with this whole entire draft. In the third round with the 80th pick, they went Divine Diablo, safety, Virginia Tech. Round 4, Tyree Gillespie, safety, Missouri. So they're beefing up that defense.
It's a lot of safeties, though, man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What they're gonna do with all those
Oh
safeties?
no, they're not. I'm not done yet. Hold on. Round 5, with the 167th pick, Nate Hobbs, a cornerback, Illinois, another person playing in the back there. You know what I'm saying? So I guess they're not happy with what's going on in their secondary. So they're trying to pick and choose guys that might fit the profile. That's the only guess. And the last round, in the round 7, with the 230th pick, they went with Jimmy Morrissey, center, Pittsburgh. I mean, with the exception of the first and last pick on the O line, they went defense most of the way. I mean, the Raiders pretty much reached all draft, probably one of the worst drafting teams in the 2021, again, like last year. I don't mean to knock the Raiders. I'm like not trying to knock the Raiders. This is what I'm reading and this is what I'm hearing. And that's all I'm hearing. Mayock's looking like he wants to get fired at this point. I don't know. Like there's not enough negativity. I want to see Brian Edwards and Henry Ruggs ball, man. I want to see this team on all cylinders. I want to see this offense rolling at its maximum capacity. I'm not trying to hate on this team, but last year they reached on Ruggs, and this year they seem to have reached on a number 1 pick on Alex Leatherwood, which is not a good thing when you're reaching, and the whole communities from the football community, the NFL community to the dynasty community getting on you because you reached on a player that you shouldn't have reached on. They added Drake, which is a good thing, another element in the backfield. And considering the extra game added this season, I think it adds depth to a backfield that needs it. Carr had some flashes last season. I'm not a big fan of him. I would love to see some more consistency from him. It's definitely needed for that team to go ahead and excel and get to the next level and do what they need to do with the talent that they have. Don't know what to expect after that draft, but they're professionals. We're not the professionals. That's why, I'm just going on what I'm listening to, and to be honest with you, I've watched football long enough to know that they reached on Alex Leatherwood. Like it's not a secret. I'm definitely trying to pick up Brian Edwards. I'm on the hype train. I love that guy. To see what eventually happens to Ruggs and Renfro, who goes and who stays, because they're gonna have to get rid of one of those guys at one point. You know what I mean? In my opinion, who knows what the future holds for this team? Like I said, I want to see them win. Want to see more fantasy relevance. I mean, Waller's gonna produce for sure, but I want to see the receivers produce, man. I want to see the receivers produce. I want to see Carr throwing bombs. I want to see that offense going off, man.
No, I agree, right? And they're in a division with the Saints, right? And the Saints are not the Saints. I'm sorry, the Chiefs, right? So you need points to score. You need to score points to keep up with them. And you're talking about reaches, right? Henry Ruggs was a reach. That O-line guy was a reach. But 2 drafts ago, Josh Jacobs was a reach in the first round, right? I mean, that's all they do. They reach and they reach and they reach. Josh Jacobs, that's another Alabama player, right? I mean,
he's in love with them.
He's in love with them, and like you said, we're not professionals, so to speak, but we watch football, we read a lot, and what I've learned is if all you're doing is drafting players from big name schools, you're not doing research, right? Because you're just falling in love with the people with the logo on the helmet. Oh, Alabama, Nick Saban. It's a pro-ready thing. Let's draft that guy, right? That's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? That's not how it works. I was not a fan of Josh Jacobs. And in fact, I was selling him a lot this offseason. But now I think the hate has gone too far. I think the hate has gone too far. And I hate to be saying this. I cannot believe I'm saying this. But I think Josh Jacobs is now a value. And I say this because, one, like you said, there's an extra game that they got going on. 2, people are acting like this guy, Kenyon Drake, is going to come in and just steal a whole bunch of work from Josh Jacobs. Like as if Kenyon Drake, he's an okay player, he's a good player, but he got the starting gig over there in Arizona. He didn't kill the game with that. You know what I mean? So, and from my reading, he's going to be taking a lot of the receiving work, which Josh Jacobs wasn't getting anyways. So it's not like Josh Jacobs is going to go from having all this receiving work and losing it. If anything, Kenyon Drake is going to be taking the work from the Hunter Renfros in the slot. He's going to be Jalen Richard, who was the receiving back on this team last year. So I think that's where Kenyon Drake is going to be stealing the work from, not Josh Jacobs. And I don't know how, but I think Josh Jacobs was like the running back 8 last year at some point. So he's now fallen in drafts, and he's still super young. I think he's like 23 years old, maybe 24, but I think he's 23. So I think the hate's gone too far. He's got first round. He's got the first round draft capital. He's young as hell. Kenyon Drake is not anything to be scared about. So don't be scared of now. I think now's the time to get back in on Josh Jacobs if you can get him for a good deal, right? I agree with you on Brian Edwards. I love that kid. I think he's going to be the number 1 on this team over Henry Ruggs. I think Henry Ruggs is a speedster. He's the guy who goes down the field. But look at these speedsters that have been going in the first round. John Ross, Philip Dorsett. Over and over and over again, NFL teams keep falling in love with these guys who run 4.2s, 4.3s, and they draft them in the first round. And when you can get one of those guys like a Darnell Mooney in the 3rd round or the 4th round, you can do similar things. So I think Brian Edwards is going to be the alpha on this team. Don't forget that he had a foot injury when he came in, coming from his rookie year. He was not fully recovered from that foot injury. I think that affected him. I think he's going to take a step forward. He's going to be they're already saying he's going to be a starter in three receiver sets. And I think it won't be long before Waller's the number one target and Brian Edwards is going to be the number two target. Only other thing I would say is super flex leagues. Go get Mariota, man. I don't know if you saw that game last year when Carr went down. Mariota balled out. If Carr goes down again this year, he's going to be an instant starter. Mariota is going to be a free agent after this year. And he's shown enough, and there's enough bad QB play in this league that I think Mariota could get an opportunity to start somewhere else. And that's how you gain value. I'm not saying he is going to be a starter, but that's how you gain value in these type of leagues is grabbing these guys, these backup guys that nobody's thinking about, who don't understand the contract situation, that don't understand that they're about to become free agents. And there was a lot of talk earlier this year about teams trying to trade for Mariota, but he has a $10 million cap hit, so no one really wanted to pick up that amount of money. So just keep an eye out for that. That's just a little thing you can get them really cheap out there. People are not thinking that far ahead. So that's all I gotta say on the Raiders.
Yeah, one last thing for me is Gruden's been trying to draft his Tyreek Hill. That's his whole reason behind going Ruggs because he wants his Tyreek Hill. There's not too many Tyreek Hills walking around. That guy is a beast. He's an animal. He's not gonna be 20 of those guys walking around. And you don't. I think where the disconnect is that you don't draft for that. Draft for your team needs and the best player available for your team needs. You don't go out on a limb multiple years in a row and just keep reaching and reaching and reaching, and then ask yourself why the team's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
Like you just don't do that. So let's move on to the Chargers, man. And I'm excited about these guys.
yeah,
I'm super excited about what they're doing. I love Herbert. I love what they're doing over there. So let's talk about them. With the 13th pick, the Chargers went Rashawn Slater. He's a 6'4", 304 pound, and he's the first offensive lineman selected by the Chargers in the first round since DJ Fluker in 2013. He started 37 games for the Wildcats and was all Big Ten honorable mention in 2019. This is great for the Chargers. I know Herbert's happy. He has more protection you get more protection for the stud. In 2019, he allowed 0 sacks, 1 quarterback hit, 5 QB hurries. So according to the Northwestern Athletics, this is what they're saying. I think that's awesome protection for Herbert. I think it's a step up. I think he has to worry about less. I think his confidence goes up with this guy. Only bad thing and knock about this guy is that he opted out of the 2020 season, but how many players didn't do that last year? With the 47th pick, they went Asante Samuels Jr. out of Florida State. His father was a 4th-round pick by the Patriots and won 2 Super Bowls and made 2 All-Pro teams over his 10-year-plus career in the NFL. That means this kid has pedigree and he's been around the game all his life. This is a great pick for the Chargers, and all you IDP guys out there, be on the lookout. Samuel Jr. played 32 games his 3 years at Florida State and led the team with 3 interceptions during the 2020 season. Then with the 77th pick, they went Josh Palmer. I love this kid. I love this pick. Explosive receiver. He was the go-to playmaker in his final season. He appeared in 47th game with 36 starts, caught 99 passes for 1,514 yards and 7 touchdowns and averaged 15.3 yards a catch. He also had 1 rushing score to his credit. 69 of his 99 catches went for first downs. Owned the 16 career catches, 25 yards or more. He's a leader in the classroom and the community as well, meaning that this kid is smart, meaning that means that he can probably pick up the playbook a lot faster than other receivers. And where they picked him up at, total value for me. He was invited to the 2021 Senior Bowl in January and caught 2 passes for 27 yards and 1 touchdown in that contest. Proved to be the top receiver on the squad and one of the best in the SEC. He led the Vols in receiving yards with 475, catches with 33, and receiving touchdowns with 4. 23 out of his 33 catches went for first downs, while 62 of them came after the catch. So he's got some yak to him. Ranked 13th in the SEC in 20 plus yard catches with 9. All this with an average subpar quarterback play. You heard it here first, folks. He had subpar quarterback play, and he still balled it. I can see this kid filling in for Keenan Allen if he goes down with an injury, or once Mike Williams goes, if the Chargers don't resign him, and we've already talked about that in previous podcasts. That's definitely a possibility. Herbert's the best QB this kid's ever played with. So his upside is tremendous. He's going in the second round in the draft, and you need to get him. If he falls to the third round, it's a no-brainer. You have to pick him up. They went with Trey McKitty with the 97th pick. I will stash this guy in a taxi squad or two. Round 4 with the 118th pick, they went with Chris Rump, the second linebacker from Duke. In round 5, they went with the 159th pick. They went Brendan James, the OT out of Nebraska. In the 6th round, with the 185th pick, they went Nick Neiman, another linebacker out of Iowa. With the 198th pick, they went Larry Roundtree, the third, a running back out of Missouri, to kind of like, help out in that backfield. And in the last round, they went Mark Webb, safety out of Georgia. For me, I'm just gonna. I want to see this kid ball. Palmer. I'm excited to see this kid. I think he's gonna start probably in the slot over Jalen Guyton. And I know I've been talking up Jalen Guyton a lot, but what I've been hearing from camp is that this guy's gonna start over him. And he has the tools. He definitely has the size. He has the speed. He has the pedigree. So I'm excited for this offense. And they beefed up the defense on. So I want to see what these guys do. For me, Herbert, he's a great pickup in Superflex. If you're in the first round and you're probably with a 1.5, 1.6, and Moore's gone, Josh Allen's gone, Kyler Murray's gone, and you're scratching your head, don't scratch your head. This is the guy you need to pick up. This guy is 6'6", and he weighs 240 pounds. And when he rushes the ball, he doesn't slide. He trucks. That's what you want, a durable quarterback that's going to rip off 30 to 40-yard chunks in the best part of the game. And when you, obviously, games in Dynasty, which is what you want. You want to win games in Dynasty. And this guy's going to make so many people relevant. So if you can get this guy and pick up one of these receivers, whether it's Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Guyton even in the late rounds, even in best ball, and for the future, this kid Josh Palmer, I'm telling you, he's looking great, and I like him a lot.
Yeah, and you know me, I'm a fan of Josh Palmer, so I'm right there with you. We were reading off his stats. They don't sound like a lot, right? Like you said, in Tennessee, they don't sound like a lot. It was like 400 something yards, 30 something catches. But you have to take away from that is he led the team, so that means he got the most he could out of bad offensive play, bad quarterback play, and that's what you need to look at. You don't want to just be looking at stats. You need to look deeper, right? You got to look deep into why the stats are what they are and take it from there and move and then zoom out so that you can get an idea of the type of player that he is. And I think the Chargers did a good job scouting him, bringing him in because he wasn't being talked about a lot before the draft. I don't know about you, but I never even heard of Josh Palmer until the Chargers drafted him, and that's when I did my digging, and I was impressed. I think you touched on a lot of stuff that I would touch on already. What I would say is a good late round tight end, Jared Cook. Hunter Henry's gone. Jared Cook still has some. He's still athletic. He's sneaky. If you like Justin Herbert and you think he's gonna throw 40 something touchdowns, then guess who's gonna be in the back of the end zone on a lot of those touchdowns when they're down by the goal line, and that's gonna be Cook as a tight end going up the big body, getting some touchdowns. Mike Williams, and of course Austin Eckler, bro. I think he's a good youngish running back. Catches the ball like crazy. And before people say, well, is Justin Herbert going to throw him the ball a lot? He likes to throw the ball down the field. Just so we can get an idea, Eckler in and out of the lineup, but he was on pace with Herbert as the QB with 106 targets. Okay, I'm going to say that again, 106 targets. So Herbert likes to throw the ball to Eckler. It's proven. We saw it last year. Don't let that fake narrative come out of nowhere, because what we saw last year was, while Phillip Rivers loves to throw to the running back more than most, Herbert liked to throw to Eckler too, and I think that's going to be an explosive offense.
Yeah, Herbert automatically makes everybody in that team relevant. Look at what he did last year as a rookie. He's only going to get better. So you need to pick up, and they're a fast-paced offense. So everybody's going to get the work.
No, they are, man. They are. So, and and that defense is nasty. They're getting some I think their Derwin James is coming back from injury. You said it yourself. They beefed up their defense. This is a dark horse Super Bowl contender in my eyes. So
I love watching them, to be honest with you. You know me. I love watching all of football, and I like watching San Diego. I love watching their fast-paced offense. And now that they got a defense, I'm gonna be enjoying the games even more.
no, I mean, can you imagine? This is going to be a fun division. Pat Mahomes versus Herbert for the next 10 years. I mean, that's going to be fun to watch, bro. And if the Broncos get a QB, then it's over. So the Raiders are going to have to be last place every year, bro. There's no way they're coming out of that mess.
I'm glad that you say that, because that's why I get to the point where when you're in that type of division, you cannot be shooting yourself in the foot with these reaches in the draft. Look at the division that you're in. And you know what the sad part is? They can beat Kansas City. They've proven that they can do this, proven it before. They're not helping themselves. And when these guys are going out and drafting like sleeper talents, that you really have to do your homework, because that's what I like about Dynasty. Some of these guys, you don't hear about them, and if you don't do your research on them, you're not gonna find out who these guys are till it's too late.
Yeah.
And that's what part of this show's about. That's what we want to open up your eyes. I really, I'm a U fan. I watch the U games, but I really don't watch college football. So there's a disconnect for me, which I've told you. I need to start watching college football all the time, because it's just the diamonds in the rough are there. And like, I'm a film guy, so I'm going to see stuff that automatically is going to resonate with me. And I'm going to be like, whoa, that kid's going to be something. And it helps when you're drafting. But if you're not doing that, and you hear about somebody and you watch the draft and you do your homework, it's still not too late to do it then, and get your player.
Yep, yeah. A lot of people, even dynasty players, they don't get engaged until July, August, bro. Even in dynasty, a lot of them, you're in a league, you think dynasty, no off season. You and me, we live that shit. There literally is no off season for us. We can talk football any day, from February to December. We're fucking talking football. So, but not everybody's like that. So if you want to win your leagues and you want to get ahead on the competition, is constantly be reading the blurbs, constantly be looking through the notes, check the depth charts out, see who's these rookies are. Like you said, like we said, Josh Palmer. We hadn't heard about him. We see that the Chargers grab him in the third round. We don't just go, oh, I never heard about him. He must not be good. No, instead we say, okay, why did they get him in the third round? We start doing our digging, and all of a sudden he becomes one of our favorite guys to draft. And that's how the business is, bro. So we're gonna be rolling up, dude, into the NFC West, man. We're the last division for this segment of ours, these divisional breakdowns. We got 4 teams to go. I'm excited to talk about them, man. I'm going to jump in with the Cardinals. I'm not going to talk too much on Kyler Murray. I think we did a really good breakdown of Kyler Murray in the last Would You Rather last week when it was Kyler Murray versus Jalen Hurts. So I'm not going to talk too much about him. He's a good young QB. He's got wheels. We're worried about whether he can take the punishment. But there's no denying his talent. So it's really a matter of if you think he can continue to take hits and thrive in this type of offense or not. And you have to make that decision yourself and go from there. The first one I really want to talk about is Chase Edmonds. I'm in a lot of leagues with you, man, and I bet you if you check my roster, Chase Edmonds is on my roster. Okay. And he's on my roster because I drafted him when he came out many years ago when DJ was still there, and I didn't believe in DJ, and I thought Chase Edmonds would get his chance. DJ got injured. Edmonds had some good games, but he's not a world beater, right? He's had his opportunity to take the jobs before. He's done okay. He's a smaller type of back. He's more of a pass catching type of back, but he's not a slouch. He's got some wheels on him, and he's a good player. He's much more explosive than Drake was last year, and he's much more explosive than Connor is going to be this year. I have Chase in a lot of my teams. Like I said, I've been waiting for this day to come. I think it's going to be a split between him and Connor. All right. I think Connor is a good value late in drafts, but so's Edmonds. Edmonds is coming off as the RB28 in the 7th round. So he's the type of back that you can wait if you want to start your draft and go, quarterback, tight end with some wide receivers, or just hardcore wide receiver. Edmonds is a good player to target later in your draft as a running back in your startups. He's only 25 years old. He like I said, he's got some wheels. He catches the ball, so I'm excited to have him. I'm excited to see him play. I think he's going to play above that running back 28 spot for him. And if you want to wait even longer, if you're not a believer in Chase, then you can wait till I'm talking 13th round, 12th round, something like that. You can get Connor. Connor, he had his moments in Pittsburgh. He can't stay healthy. That's one of the reasons I'm more of a Chase guy than Connor, because that's the only two guys they have there. Benjamin's there, but he's not much to talk about. So for me, it's Chase over Connor, even with the ability to get Connor late. I get him here and there in best balls just in case, but my money's is going to be on Chase Edmonds. Rondell Moore, right? Their second, I believe, is their second round pick this year. Guy's 5'7", but he's a beast, man. So, with a player that size, he's either going to be Steve Smith or he's going to be Jakeem Grant. There's really going to be no in between, man. And my money is on him being a Steve Smith. This guy is a freak of nature. He's had to fight with this size his whole life. I don't know if you've seen those workout videos of him squatting like 600 pounds. He's got like a 42-inch vertical. He leaps. He jumps out of the gym, man. He plays with heart. When he's get the ball, he looks like a running back. He's bowling people over. He's sneaking through holes. He's getting past defenders. He's going to be an outlier if he succeeds. There's no other than, and I think Steve Smith was 5'9" or 5'8". So even he's going to be more of an outlier than even Steve Smith. But he's going off the board as the wide receiver 39 in startups. He's young, and to me, he's worth grabbing. Finally, bro, could this be the year for Christian Kirk, man? And I'll tell you, I hope so, because I have him in a lot of places. And he has flashed. Every year, he comes up with a couple games where he puts up 22 points here, 25 points there, 2 touchdowns. He's got that special teams ability that you can see that once he gets the ball in his hands, he moves with this way and that way, and he can take it to the house. The problem is, and it could be that he doesn't fire, but the problem is, in my eyes, that they keep playing him outside when everyone knows his natural position is in the slot. But they couldn't move. Fitz could not play on the outside anymore. So they had to keep Fitz in the slot. That meant Christian Kirk had to be on the outside. Fitz finally retired, although now there's whispers that he hasn't technically retired yet. I hope they don't bring him back. I mean, Fitz, love you, man. You're a Hall of Famer. But, dude, just let the young guys play, bro. Let the young guys play. And if Fitz stays retired and Kirk does move to the slot, then this might be the year. It might be the year. So if he hits, I'm happy. If he doesn't, he's off my teams next year because he's just not worth it. Finally, talk about Hopkins, right? He's good. He's real good. But this is the type of player I trade right now. This is the type of guy I'm trading. He's 29 years old, and the way he plays, his body might not be able to take that punishment much more. He's the guy who's getting 10 catches a game. He's getting hit. He's jumping up to get the ball. He's landing down. I'd rather be 1 year too early than 1 year late holding the bag. So if you can trade a DeAndre Hopkins for like an Allen Robinson plus, or a T. Higgins plus, or a Brandon Ayuk plus, then that's something that I would do because I think he's closer to the end than he is to his prime.
I agree with you 100%. This is like another Dalvin Cook take.
Yep.
Do it now before it's too late. It's not no knock on Hopkins. Hopkins is a beast. Top 10 receiver. That did it with no quarterback ever, which for me, that's why he's like number one for me, because he's never had he did it with I don't know how many different quarterbacks. So that'll tell you everything about him. But this is Dynasty, and like Brandon said, the name is valued. And if you can get value for him now, I say you do it.
Yep, for sure, bro.
Another thing I want to mention, I think that Chase Edmonds is awesome, regardless of whether he's the number one or number two. He's proven to score with whether he's on there by himself or on there with another running back getting the carries. My thing with him is that he's a smaller back. He's not durable, but he gets the points. I'm gonna see. I think I was gonna ask you who do you think starts, but you already answered my question with a 50-50 split, and I think that would be best. That would make them both relevant if they pass the ball to Connor as well. Now, if they just use Connor to run, but if they use them all purposely, both of them, they're both gonna be fantasy relevant. And like I said, people, don't forget there's an extra game added to the schedule. Teams need depth at the position. Don't look at another running back with potential going to another team as a threat to your starting running back because they're going to need it. Running backs get pounded, they get tired, they need to come out of games. And it's better for you. If you have either one, you're getting points from them. So don't look at it necessarily as a negative.
No, for sure, for sure. And to me, in all honesty, I'm thinking even more 60-40 split, bro. I'm thinking 60-40 split, and I'm thinking Chase gets the majority of that. I think he's going to get the majority of the passing down work. So I'm thinking kind of like the way I did with Drake, except a little bit more skewed towards Chase. So again, like I said, he's a value, but I agree with you. Based on both where they're both being drafted, they're both technically values, but really it just matters. It depends on who you think is going to take the majority of the role. So uh, I think it's going to be a fun offense to watch. So I'm excited for that. And going into my last team, San Francisco 49ers. And I'm going to start off right now with a hot ass take. I don't know if you're ready for this, but I'm going to burn your face, dog. I'm
I
going to burn
love
your
it. I
face,
love it.
dog. George Kittle's overrated as fuck, bro. He's overrated, dog. He's being overdrafted. Um, he was great when all the targets were going to him and they were being thrown by a stationary QB like Jimmy G. Okay? But now we have a running QB like Lance coming in. And I know people say, well, maybe Jimmy's going to start the whole year. I don't see it, though. I don't see how you as an organization can trade 3 first-round picks for a player and then not play him, right? I mean, why did you need to spend 3 first-round picks on a player if Jimmy G could get you where you needed to go, right? You could have used that to bulk the team up in other places. Lance is, I think, we've talked about this in our other shows. I'm a big believer in Lance. The guy has a freaking rocket for an arm, and he can run for 1,000 yards. So you have Jimmy G as a stationary quarterback who used to throw to the tight end. Now you're gonna have a running quarterback like Lance, and when you're a running quarterback, that means there's gonna be a little less passing attempts going on. You have Brandon Ayuk, who I think is going to emerge as the true alpha on this team. I believe Brandon Ayuk is going to be the number one passing option on this team sooner rather than later. And you also have Debo. So before, when it was just Kittle, now you got Kittle, you got Debo, you got Brandon Ayuk, and you got a QB that's probably going to be throwing a little bit less. It's math, people. It's math. Kittle's target share is going to drop. Now, you also add that Kittle missed 2 games in 2019, and he missed another 8 games in 2020. He's turning 28 in October. And tight ends take punishment in the NFL. A lot of people think that running backs are the most injury-prone position, and they're the ones that get injured the most. But people forget that tight ends are blockers too, and George Kittle is a big-time blocker. And what is blocking? That's when one human being goes and tries to hit the other human being as hard as they can, constantly back and forth to get them out of the way. So you're constantly fighting another human being, and on top of that, you're catching the ball and getting tackled. So tight ends wear themselves out, bro. So you have these injuries starting to pile up. You have a lower target share, in my opinion, that's going to be happening. I was never that much in on Kittle. He had that one big year. He had a good year after that. But other than that, it's been a lot more hype than actual fantasy points. So if I could sell Kittle for Hawkinson plus, I would. If you could somehow get Pitts for Kittle, I would do it. Speaking of injured players, I love Debo, but if he doesn't stay healthy this year, I'm done with him. I'm done. He's been. Yeah, I did some. I heard it on a podcast, and I wish that I could say the name of the podcast. I completely forgot, but they mentioned it, and I went back and looked. Debo has been injured almost every year of his career, going back to high school, dog. going back to high school. So if he hasn't been able to do it since then, I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna be able to do it now. And I think that's why they keep drafting those type of players, those yak type of players. He's a great player, and his yak ability is off the charts. But again, you need availability to play. And if he's not gonna be available, they're gonna move on from him, and I'm gonna move on from him. Um, let's talk Sermon, bro. Uh, I just don't see what the hype is about Trey Sermon, bro. I went back and looked, bro. He has a 4.6640. That scares me. I don't like that shit. He has a 16.5% college dominator. It's a horrible percentage. That scares me. In 4 years, he played in college for 4 years. He never ran for over 1,000 yards. He never caught more than 16 passes. And only one season did he have double digits. And this is college, bro, where people put up crazy ass numbers. He couldn't get 1,000 yards. He couldn't catch more than 16 passes. He couldn't get double digit touchdowns more than once. And he's getting drafted in the first round in rookie drafts. And to me, this just shows how shitty this draft class really was this year. Because I don't think in normal drafts, Trey Sermon would have sniffed the mid-second round, bro. You got Mostert there, who's electric, but he can't stay healthy. You got Elijah Mitchell, another running back they drafted in the 6th round. You got Jeff Wilson, who we got to wait for him to come back from injury. And they made a priority to sign Wayne Gallman in free agency. The backfield is a mess. I might draft Gallman or Mitchell at the end of drafts as possible lottery tickets. But after I'm out, bro. It's not worth the headache for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from that team right now. For me, I think Jimmy G starts off the season, and if they're not winning the season, like if they don't have a winning record by like mid-season, I think they bring in Lance. Because hear me out here. Lance didn't really play great competition in college. I don't think he's ready to go, bro. I know that you said that they traded three first round picks, which I thought was absurd to get a guy that's really not ready. He played the least out of all the quarterbacks. He played the least competition, the least best competition out of all of them. His size, his athleticism, it's great, but he needs time to develop. That's why I'm a little, iffy about picking this guy up so early. But I mean, it's a toss up. Like I said, I think Jimmy G gets a starting nod. They're gonna play him. And if he does the job, they're gonna keep him there, and they're gonna have Lance on the sidelines. Now, if shit goes and hits the fan, they're gonna bring in Lance because that's when the excuse that you're saying is gonna pop up. Well, we traded three first round picks for this guy. It's time for him to show us something. That's where I'm at with this team. As far as the running back situation, I'm all on board with you. I love Mostert. He can't stay healthy. I'm with you on I don't know what the big deal about Sermon is. I actually like Elijah Mitchell better than him. And I think he's a safer pickup and a lottery ticket, possible lottery ticket in the 6th round or in the 5th round or even in free agency. I just I'm in agreement with you. I think this draft was so bad that a guy like Sermon goes in the 1st round.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other explanation for it, bro. There really isn't, dude. A 4.66, 40 and horrible college dominator and never running for 1,000 yards is going as your 1st round in your rookie draft, and you're excited. That says something about the draft class. So I'm glad I didn't really get any Trey Sermon. So I'm not sad about it. I don't care.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I had to pick up a couple of shares of Trey Sermon because I was trying to pull a trade. I was trying to move back to the following year and get a 1st round pick. Nobody was biting, and he was the best player available. And I needed a running back, and I hated it.
And that's a good point, right? For people out there listening, right? You can't trade back. You grab a player that maybe you're not sold on, but who can probably maybe gain some value, right? So as soon as we get into training camp and Trey Sermon, because don't forget, Mostert's always banged up and Jeff Wilson is recovering from surgery. So they're going to be giving Sermon a lot of the work. So once those little things come out of training camp, Sermon's getting work, that's when you flip and try to sell him. That's when you sell them. Either the problem is you don't want to get too sucked in. A lot of times you got to stick with your takes if you really believe them. If you believe that Sermon's nothing special, and you believe that it's going to be a headache owning a running back in this backfield because you never know who's going to pop off. Then the minute that those positive reports come out of camp, you got to remember your true feelings about Sermon, and you gotta try to sell him, get something for him, and you can get. That's when he'll start being worth a lot. He'll be worth a first round pick next year. He'll be worth a running back plus something else, because then people start to fall in love with Shanahan. Makes good running backs. Yeah, the running back in the Shanahan offense is great, but the problem is you never know who that running back is going to be. Is it going to be Mostert? Is it going to be Wilson? Is it going to be Gallman? Is it going to be Mitchell? That's a shit ton of problems to worry about, brother. I don't want to deal with that nonsense, man. So that's I feel that pain, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from that backfield, and
Yeah.
I have a lot of Mostert. I'm not gonna lie, I have a lot of Mostert, but I'm staying away from that because that's like in New England. That's like getting Belichick. You don't know who's gonna start. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, you want to try to stay away from that headache.
Yeah, definitely.
Big reason, and I'm not by any means shitting on the player, but that's why a big reason why I stayed away from Ramon Stevenson this year. You know, he was sitting there in so many drafts, and I'm like, to be honest with you, I stick by my rules. I don't draft any running backs from New England, and it's not the player, it's not the talent, it's that they're gonna make a game plan for each game, and depending on of the weaknesses of the other team, they're gonna make that game plan to that team. What running back fits that game plan, you don't know. You're not in that facility, you don't know who they're going to go with, so you're blind. You're going into a, and you don't want to do that. You want to win games. You want to be sure when you start somebody that they're going to get you points. So yeah, if I have to, I'll start them, but I try to stay away from those backfields, man. I want backfields that are legitimate. That for me, those are illegitimate backfields because you don't know who's gonna start. Not because of the talent, it's just those coaches, they go by game plan, and whomever, the game plan. Just like a perfect example, like Brady. Brady's gonna pick you apart depending on what defense you throw at him. So like I said in one of the other previous podcasts, one game is gonna be Mike Evans, one game is gonna be Godwin, one game is gonna be Antonio Brown, the other game is gonna be, a combination of them. Because that's what Brady does. He does the game plan week to week. Same thing with the running back situation with San Francisco and New England. Their game plans, they do game plans on each game. Whoever fits the game plans the best is who they're gonna start. So do you want to be on that side of the coin? I don't.
No, yeah, it's not worth the headache, brother. It's not worth the headache, man. So here we are, bro. Bring us home, man. You got the Rams and the Seahawks. Who you going with, and what's popping, dog?
Well, I'm gonna go with the Rams because I'm gonna be fast with them. They didn't really have a first round pick. With in the second round with the 57 pick, they went 2-2 out of Louisville. And let me tell you, Tutu's from right here. He played QB, folks, in Northwestern High School, where he threw for more than 4,000 yards and also running for 1,500 yards during his time in his 4 year start as a 4 year starter at Miami, Florida Northwestern High School. Before switching to receiver in college, he was clocked going 4.32 in Louisville in his pro day, and they said he hit a 4.2 the year after, even faster. He recorded 140 receptions, 2,307 yards, and 21 touchdowns in 3 seasons at Louisville. Finished the year in 2020 as a team's leading receiver with 46 receptions and 625 yards and 7 touchdowns. Only concerning thing here is his size. Super small. But let's see. His talent translates to the NFL, and let's be frank here. There's a lot of small receivers coming out of this draft class, so let's not knock him for that. Round 3 with the 103rd, they went Ernest Jones, linebacker out of South Carolina. Round 4 with the 117th pick, they went Bobby Brown the third, DT at Texas A&M. Round 4, they had 2 picks. They went with the 130th, Robert Rochelle, cornerback out of Central Arkansas. Then with the second, 4th round pick, they went Jacob Harris, wide receiver out of UCF. With the 174th pick, they went Ernest Brown, the 4th, defensive end out of Northwestern. Round 7, they had 3 picks. They went with Jake Funk, running back out of Maryland, Ben Skowronek, wide receiver out of Notre Dame, and Chris Garrett, linebacker out of Concordia University, St. Paul. They upgraded at QB with Matthew Stafford, and they upgraded the whole situation, in my opinion, period. Cam Akers and Henderson are definitely a backfield to try and acquire. Kupp, Woods, Higbee also get a bump for me and upside as well. I think it was a great move that the Rams made to balance out their offense to that nasty defense that they got. I expect Akers to finish as a top 10 QB after all said and done, and Higbee should have a career year this year. That's where I'm at with them. I want to see Stafford airing it out and using his running back and his tight end, everything that he did in Detroit, but with an actual line and a team around him. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's very exciting, bro. It really is, man, to see what Stafford can do. We've talked about Akers over and over again. Would you rather rookie shows, all that because he's that exciting. Woods is perennial underrated. No one appreciates that guy. He's been a wide receiver one. He's a high end wide receiver two. People draft him like he's a wide receiver three. Cup, I think he's gonna have a bounce back year as well. He's a good possession receiver, so I'm excited for this whole offense. The only one little thing I would mention, and I've done this in a lot of leagues, super flex. I'm grabbing the Rams' backup QB Wolford. McVay really liked him. There was talk that he was even trying to convince everybody to let him just basically bench Goff and play this guy. I only bring him up because Stafford. He's an Iron Man. He's strong, bro, but he's been having some back injuries lately. He had a fractured back. He's been having back problems. So this is the type of guy, especially in Superflex. We with all these weapons around him. If Stafford were to go down, you would have a starting quarterback on a great offense with a great coach. So those are like the small little type of moves that you can make when everyone's rushing to the waiver wire. If and when an injury happens, they look up, the guy's not there because why? He's on your team.
Let me tell you, Cooper Cup's being majorly disrespected in the rankings, bro. I'm besides myself. If you're looking in that tier and you're in a startup draft and he's there, pick him up. Stafford's gonna throw him the ball. Like I'm telling you, he's gonna throw him the ball. Woods is another one that's being majorly disrespected. Always has been majorly disrespected. Pick him up. If you're shading, scratching your head, and you're in that tire where he's at, pick him up. He's gonna get the work. Matthew Stafford loves throwing the ball. He's not gonna hand off the ball like a Jimmy Garoppolo for se. So these guys, for me, get an automatic bump up in upside. They got a better quarterback, folks, and they're gonna throw the ball. And they're a fast-paced offense. Just do the math.
Yep. Yes, sir, bro. So let's go, dog. Bring us home, man. Seattle Seahawks, man. What's going on there, dog?
Oh, well, this was gonna be fast. I mean, the Seahawks barely had a draft, but let's take a look at what they did and who they went with their selections. Round two with the 56th pick, they picked up Dwayne Eskridge, wide receiver, Western Michigan. Great pick, and I'm gonna explain to you why in a second. Round four, pick 137, Trey Brown, cornerback out of Oklahoma. And then round six, with the 208th pick, they went Stone Forsythe, offensive tackle, Florida. Let's talk about Eskridge here. At 5'9", 190 pounds, Eskridge had 121 catches for 2,244 yards and 15 touchdowns over 5 years. He got a medical ref shirt after breaking his collarbone early in 2019. Named second team All-American All-Purpose by Football Writers Association of America. Named All-Conference first team receiver and second team returner by Pro Football Focus. Led the FBS in all-purpose yards per game with 213. Yeah, you heard me right. 213. And was the only player in the nation to average more than 200 all-purpose yards per contest. Capped the regular season with 130.7 yards receiving per game, fourth in the FBS and tops in the MAC conference. Eight receiving touchdowns, led the MAC and ranked 16th nationally at the end of the regular season. His 77.8 kickoff returns yards were fifth in the FBS, and he led the MAC conference at the end of the regular season. Was one of the 11 players in the FBS with 3 or more kickoff returns of at least 40 yards, played both offense and defense during his career. Okay, he played offense and defense during his career for all you IDP guys out there. Who knows? Capped WMU tenure with 113 receptions for 2,136 yards and 14 TDs with an average of 19.2 yards per receptions. Made 21 tackles and a forced fumble and 4 pass breakups during his time as a cornerback. Went over 100 receiving yards in 5 or 6 games on the abbreviated 2020 seasons. Returned 17 kickoffs on the year for a total of 467 yards, with a long being 100-yard TD return against Northern Illinois. I don't know, Brandon. This kid's being majorly disrespected. In rookie drafts, he's falling way out of his rankings, and where he's falling is mega value written all over him. Moore's no longer there. He's in Carolina, and I expect Eskridge to fill in immediately for Moore. Don't sleep on this kid. I'm telling you, I picked him up super late in rookie drafts. As a matter of fact, today I picked him up in the 3rd round. Okay, I don't want to hear that he's small when we just talked about Rondell Jones.
Rondell Moore.
Excuse me, Rondell Moore. I don't want to hear this. This draft is full of small receivers. So why the hate on this guy? Did you hear the stats I just gave you?
Well, dude, I thought I was high on him, bro, until you told me all that shit. And now I want to go out and find out where I don't have him and buy him, bro. And I thought I was gonna have to come out here to put some knowledge on him, but you just blew me away. I'm gonna have to give you props on that information. The only way I can tell you is why I think people are disrespecting him is a couple of things you said. The 5 years in college, right? 5 years. He's coming out as a 24-year-old rookie. And, that doesn't sound old because I'm old as hell. I'm 40, bro. So 24 doesn't sound as young as fuck. But for a rookie, people get a little scared away from that. For me, that's a positive. Maybe not for long-term dynasty,
sure.
But he's coming out at 24 years old. That means he's got a man's body. He's not a 21-year-old rookie who's not developed yet. He's been in the weight room. He's been working. He's got the knowledge of a 24-year-old. He's gonna come out and he's not gonna be pushed around by those corners like some rookies will. So I agree with you. He's gonna come out. I think he's gonna play well. He's gonna play early. He's gonna play well, and he's probably gonna have more value earlier in his career than later. But now that's why now's the time to grab him, because I agree with you 100%.
Let me tell you, this guy is physical. He played cornerback. You think that he's not going to know how to get off a quarterback off the line? This guy's going to mop the cornerbacks because he knows exactly what the cornerbacks are going to try and do to him because he played cornerback. And he had a forced fumble. This kid, I mean, just the experience of playing the opposite position of what you're playing against in a football game, that for me is knowledgeable. I see Russell Wilson falling in love with this kid, and all the attention is going to be on Metcalf and Lockett. I see this kid's first year being great. I don't see anybody even paying attention to this kid, and I see this kid having a great rookie season, man. And where he's getting drafted right now, you guys got to go out and get him. Please don't sleep on this guy. There's nothing to sleep on this guy about. Just because he's 24 years old, it's like Brandon said, it's not a negative for us in our eyes. It's a positive, meaning he's got a man's body. Not only that, he has more experience on the football field, man, and he's more physical. He played cornerback. That's a very, very sharp edge for him. Let me tell you, because he's going to know exactly what they're going to do to him, when, where, and how. So that's a major, major edge to play with.
Agree, man. Agree 100%, dude.
Yeah, so we're just about done, man. I hope you guys enjoyed all our breakdowns for all the divisions. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate everybody commenting on the pages, man. Even if we don't agree, it's all love. That's what we're here to come to an understanding, and we're here to make each other better. That's what the Dynasty community is all about. Man, go ahead. Let them have it, Brandon. Go ahead and exit us out.
Oh yeah, again, yeah, I agree with you, man. I appreciate everybody listening. Hope everybody enjoyed the breakdowns on the divisions. Me and JP, we're gonna get back in the lab. We're gonna come up with some more fun topics to discuss when we come out of it into next week's show. So stay tuned for it. We're gonna be switching things up, coming up with some new ideas, and I think you guys are gonna enjoy it. So we'll talk to y'all then.